So why is proof done in geometry? Who cares? What's the point? Because it helps us think better. And as humans, that's one thing we need to know. Now, yeah, some people struggle with it. Some people are better at it. You got to look in context and not misjudge yourself. You might be good at it now, or you might not. Give yourself a break. You might not just be ready, and you might be better at it later. And besides, even if someone's good at it at 12, they're not getting out of it what they can later in life. Like Abraham Lincoln, you can only know so much at 12. You're only going to get so much out of it. I don't care what anybody thinks. Like Abraham Lincoln studied it when he was in his 40s to make himself a better thinker. He already knew it when he was younger. He studied geometry to be a surveyor. Okay, he learned some, but only so much. You know, 10, 15, whatever, 20. He was a surveyor. You got to do geometry for angles and lines and segments and all your transits and stuff. But then, of course, as we know, he became a lawyer. He was a wise, smart person, as we know. In his 40s, he was struggling. I forget if it was financial too. But, he was like losing to Stephen Douglas in debates. Wasn't as good in law as he wanted to be. He wanted to be more successful. And, again, he had a family and wife to support. So there was like financial things there also. So, what did he do? He wants to be a better lawyer. He wants to be more successful. He wants to make more money. Did he start schmoozing and try to socially climb his way up there without earning it? No, that's not the kind of person he was. We know he was wise. We know how he affected the country. But did he take up surveying on the side to make more money? Did he go learn rhetoric in college to try to be a better lawyer? No. Or did he take up bank robbing or train robbing? We don't see any movies with Abraham Lincoln with his stovetop hat, sitting on a horse with his legs dangling down to the floor, getting ready to rob a train. No, that's not him. We know. To be better at his craft, at being a lawyer, be better in politics, the one thing he chose to do, this guy in his 40s, who we know was wise, the thing he chose to do was study Euclid's elements and memorize all the proofs. That's what he did. Geometry, memorizing proofs, made him a better thinker, which made him a better writer and speaker and lawyer and politician. And that's what allowed him to get into the presidency and make our country better. Without him studying geometry and Euclid's elements, we would not be here where we are. This is very important. We're not all got the prowess, mental prowess is like Abraham Lincoln, but we should strive for that to some extent that we can. We should study Euclid's elements and get out of it what we can. Again, be like him. Grammar, fitness, proof. You're forced into it when you're younger. It's at that point, who cares? Okay, but think about Abraham Lincoln. He's older. He's in his 40s. He's lived a lot, talked to people, done surveying, done business, done lawyering. He's had to go in and try cases and have sleepless nights failing to do a case. Correct. Do it well. Someone's innocent and he doesn't defend him as well as he'd like in terms of, how people are judging it with the jury and everything. He loses. He's got a sleepless night over that. This is when it's mattering to him much more. He's got people's lives in his hands to some extent. Being a lawyer, property, freedom, security, lives. There's when it matters. Not something he's going to get at 15. He's already practiced law. He's known how to do it. He's passed the bar exam to be a lawyer. He's written out things, done cases, studied it. Now, Euclid's elements helps him think better. He's got that context to apply what he learns, and he otherwise couldn't have. You'll be the same. You're older, scientist, artist, engineer, whatever. You'll have thought a lot more, studied a lot more, written a lot more. Then studying geometry will help you be a better thinker. So that's something to consider too. Grammar will help you write better. At this point, what, you get grammar so you can get good on a good grade? Okay, yeah, but so what? When you're speaking, writing, talking to people, then how you say things and how you say things effectively is going to be a lot more important. Then you're going to care about grammar. Then you need to study it on your own. Then it'll be more like a light bulb moment. I know that happened to me. After getting a degree in philosophy, writing more, reading more, thinking more, then as an adult in my 30s or whatever, I don't know, 30s, 40s, going over, studying some grammar, some sentence diagramming books, it was like, psh, light bulb, this is now helpful. I get this and I like it. Whereas in junior high school, whatever, I'd rather be doing other things. So that's one thing to remember. Study, proof, it's important, but think about how much you can get out of it at this point in life when it's kind of forced on you, and then work on it later. And I'll put some links so you can see more how it helped Lincoln, but and so you know it's legit. Like here's an article. It's called An Old-Fashioned Nationalism, Lincoln, Jefferson, and the Classical Tradition by Drew McCoy, published in 2002. Journal of the Abraham Lincoln Association. And here, I should have highlighted where I was. Now I need to go back and find it. He talks about Jefferson, talks about geometry, talks about Lincoln. But here, he says, it's not clear when, precisely, or how Lincoln first encountered Euclid. Because he had so that's unquote now. So he was partly homeschooled. He had to study some things on his own, as we've said. He was a surveyor. I was going to read that paragraph, but then it looked like it wasn't worth reading, so never mind that sentence. But here, quote, what we do know with more certainty is that during the years just after his disappointing, even disastrous one term as a United States congressman, Lincoln set for himself the task of mastering the first 6 books of Euclid. So it's proven. And earlier in the paragraph, quote, as David Donald has recently observed of the young Lincoln, he clearly liked the logic and precision of mathematics. Indeed, by the late 1830s, he was already well known for the logical precision of his political speeches, in which he characteristically stated propositions and proceeded to prove them, both by adducing documentary or empirical evidence, unquote, and adducing means bringing in, leading it in at a certain point, quote, and by deducing them from axioms or self-evident truths. Lincoln then turned even more seriously to Euclid at some point during the 1840s. Fellow lawyer later recalled that he began to carry Euclid with him on the circuit soon after his marriage in 1842. Some modern scholars suggest that Congressman Lincoln devoted some of his spare time in Washington in 1847 and 1848 to the serious study of Euclid's geometry. And then that sentence, what we do know with more certainty is that during the years just after his disappointing, even disastrous one term as United States Congressman, Lincoln set for himself the task of mastering the first 6 books of Euclid. And let's see here. Quote, as mental exercise, Lincoln's long hours with Euclid doubtless made him a better close reasoner, to use Herndon's term, and hence a more effective lawyer, which was surely his conscious purpose. But they also helped prepare him in ways he could not have known for the unexpected resumption of his political career after 1854. Lincoln had always been noted for his ability to reduce his thought on any given subject to the simplest and plainest terms possible. And during these critical years for the Republic, his mastery of that skill allowed him to argue the case against both pro-slavery and popular sovereignty with something close to Euclidean coherence. Throughout his protracted debate with Douglas between 1858 and 1860, Lincoln appealed repeatedly to the nature of proof in Euclid. is the appropriate standard for evaluating the arguments of the two combatants. In a larger sense, the distinctive qualities of Lincoln's mature political thought, including its content as well as its form and precision, appears to have owed a great deal to his immersion in Euclid, unquote. So it helps, but you can't just study it and it magically happens. Lincoln had to deliberately take it, see the principles in proofs, and apply them to law and thinking and reasoning. That's what we need in teachers. That's what teachers have a responsibility to do. Education is not about memorizing geometry and going on. That is a fake education. Education is about preparing us for adult life, learning to think better and know better, being able to live well. That's the point of thought. Thought is just not something we do just for some kind of game, then we go on to everyday life. Thinking is important in life. It's a function. We got to think well to live well. Geometry helps train us for that. It's a teacher's responsibility to do that, so people need to step up and do their job. Some don't know about it, of course. It depends on the teacher. You got to be rational about it. See the root cause of why someone's doing it. I didn't know about Lincoln for a long time. A lot of other people don't either. It's something we need to spread in the culture and in education so people have this to learn from it, learn principles of thought and life and thinking and education and geometry, and apply it to what they do to help their students. Proof would help Lincoln with a law case. Or, you got a beginning stuff, you got evidence. In a proof, we got given information in a diagram. And there's stuff we already know. There's a background context to this stuff. There's stuff you know at a certain point. And then for a given proof, you have a given and a diagram. And then you go through step by step in your reasoning until you reach a conclusion. You bring in some prior information, something in the diagram, some given. You can reason from that. You bring in new stuff, something else in a given, reason from that. Something from the diagram, reason from that. Other things, reach a conclusion. That's like what you do in a case of law. When you see these and you want to give a good case, when you get principles here, you can apply that to law. Or what else? To doing some project at work, to science. You start with an experiment and background information, and you reason out a conclusion. Or writing a story. People have to have a background context. There's some stuff that you have to take for granted to even get off the ground. And then you start developing this chain of thought, this cause-effect sequence to tell some story and finish off. Geometric proof, mastering it can help you with that too. And then notice you got to get this, and then you can play around with it as they do in some movies. When you got some point that'll come down here near the conclusion, that comes at the beginning of some movies to get your attention. Some really exciting thing. Then you're going to learn why that happened. What happened before it to lead up to it? What does it mean? What's the point? Who cares? Who are these people? Why are they doing this? Then the movie goes back and explains it. Then you can reach your conclusion. Things like that. You can move it around a little bit to add drama and all that, but you got to know your story. Writing an essay, what evidence do you need? What do you want to bring into play for some history paper or whatever? Geometric proof can help in all kinds of ways. And then some people wrote a book about it too. Good stuff. Abraham Lincoln and the Structure of Reason. I'll put a link to it. David Hirsch and Dan Van Haften. I read most of it. But, as they say here, it seems like, from what I gather, he studied it from 1853 till 1857 or 1860. That's when he really memorized the proofs. Interesting stuff. As they say, he had studied it some before then. But, as it says, flip my light down. Like at 40, okay, quote, 40 years old, at 40, after returning to Springfield from Congress, Lincoln began serious self-study of Euclid's first 6 books, unquote. Okay, that's all geometry. Geometry, as we do it, comes from Euclid's Elements, and that's what he's talking about. The geometry that this guy Euclid wrote, I'll tell you about it later, but, quote, his purpose was to improve his ability to make logical legal arguments or demonstrations. And then, because he wanted to know what it was to demonstrate something, he, as I say in here, he looked it up in a dictionary, as he says to some people. It says to demonstrate means this. Okay, well, what the heck does that mean? What's the point? How do you demonstrate? That is meaningless. Some people might look it up and think, oh, cool, that's what a demonstration is. Okay, but how do you understand it? What is really to demonstrate? Lincoln knew how to figure out what something really meant. And so he went through and studied Euclid's Elements to see what it was to really demonstrate something fully. He wanted an understanding, not just some superficial knowledge. He wasn't satisfied with some little word string that he could memorize. He wanted to be able to do something with it and understand it, figure out, like someone reads a little thing about demonstration. Okay, well, how does that apply to Euclid's Elements? How does that apply to law? What are the similarities? What are the fundamental principles? Lincoln figured that out. A lot of people study geometry, they study proof, but they do not get out of it what Lincoln did. But knowing this, we can start to do this more in ourselves, for ourselves, in education, in schools, and so on. Very important, because I don't use area every time. Area has some effect on things, and I like it. It helps me with some graphs and charts and calculus and stuff, researching health and fitness and biology and physics. But what matters more is thinking, which proof helps us with, because everywhere I turn my mind to think, I need to reason. The better I can think, the better I can deal with all these different areas, and not just area. Well, all these different topics, I should say, instead of area. Everywhere we turn our mind to think, every topic and field and thing, we need to be able to reason really well to deal with that. Proof helps us, and it should be used explicitly to do so. It should be developed. Or as it says here, turn my light back down so I can read it. Put glare in my face. George Anastopoulos, or something like that, observed in 2005 that a knowledge of geometric logic improves one's reasoning ability. A proper study of geometry can help one grasp what it means not only to know something, but also to be able to demonstrate, to share with others or oneself what one has learned, unquote. And as they say here, I'll just read a few, like this quote, another short one. Says, thus, before Lincoln learned how to demonstrate, he learned how to learn. He developed his analytic and communication skills. He practiced marshaling relevant facts and law. He organized thoughts and stated arguments clearly and logically. So again, doing some stuff will help you build up to being able to understand the geometric proof and how you can use it in other ways. As it says here, the demonstration thing. Of all Lincoln's reading, the most important was Euclid. In 1918, Ohio Supreme Court Judge R.M. Wanamaker described Abraham Lincoln purportedly talking to himself. Lincoln, you can never make a lawyer if you do not understand what demonstrate means. I studied Euclid until I could give any proposition in the first 6 books at sight. I then found out what demonstrate means, unquote. So that shows how seriously he took it and how he knew what to do. So he would be able to, from what I heard, you could ask him to give a proof of some proposition in Euclid. He could tell you that, what it depended on, and what it led to. That's how well he knew it. That's the mental training he gave himself that he could apply to law, which he already knew to some extent. So there is an important reason to study geometric proof because of how powerfully it helps us think and how important that is for living well. And that's just some things we talked about in like law, history, reasoning, politics, and we showed how it helps in history and writing and stuff. But all the other areas, wherever you turn your mind to think, it'll help you better. Fitness, philosophy, health, biology, ecology, medicine, so on and so forth. But take geometric proof seriously. Spend a lot of time doing it over many years. Because just as it did for Lincoln, it'll help you in your career, especially when you process it. You got to get what geometry proofs are, process it, and apply it to other areas. So do that, please. Think better to live a better life. Help make your own life better, make it better for your friends and family, make society better, one step at a time, just by doing stuff like that, just as Lincoln did. Peace.